You might have heard a little while ago about the legendary TikTok pink sauce. Now, this thing was absolutely everywhere. It spread like the plague, and it made the woman that made it, Chef P, loads and loads of money. Now, I did do a video a little while ago talking about it, and there was a lot of very weird things in that situation. Usually when you make some kind of like food product, something that's edible or drinkable, it needs to go through a lot of regulations. It didn't really look like the pink sauce went through any kind of regulations, and there was a chance that you could get some pretty nasty bacteria if you consumed it or didn't really store it properly. Now, just to give a comparison how viral the pink sauce was, hashtag pink sauce on TikTok got around 680 million views. Now, a lot of people bought the sauce, not for the flavor, not for any kind of medicinal or nutritional properties, because it was pink. It looked really cool and you had to get it. It's the same reason why kids on their iPad will watch like Spider-Man, Elsa, Shrek videos. They literally see bright colors and they pick on it. Look at Mr. Beast videos. Look at the kinds of thumbnails he uses. He has been edited and photoshopped so much in those thumbnails, he doesn't even look like a human anymore. I've actually been in a lot of group chats with people that try to like devise thumbnails and stuff, and the one thing they always go to is to make like the whites of your eye even more whiter, so you look like some kind of like synthetic human. You don't even look real. Now, the pink sauce did eventually get FDA approval, which means absolutely nothing. I think I could literally sell a cockroach and the FDA would actually approve it to be eaten. Also, a little side note there, I actually found out that like insects have insane amounts of protein. I bought this packet of like grub worms or something from a souvenir shop once. They were all like pre-cooked and stuff, and the protein you get per gram, it beats chicken, it beats fish. If you want gains, eat insects, like pre-packaged insects. Don't just go out in your garden and start eating spiders or something. Now, after the FDA approved, probably just not even looking and just signing the paper like this, it was available in around 4,000 Walmarts, which is a massive success. Now, one thing people did start to point out originally was how each brand of sauce that came out, because there was only one flavor, one type, it was pink sauce, they would all appear to be in different colors. I'm not talking about the pink sauce would suddenly be blue or red. I'm talking about like different shades of pink. There wasn't really any kind of consistency there. And also some of the products were incredibly poorly packaged, because this was a business that basically took off overnight. It's the equivalent of those TikToks you see at 3 in the morning of someone saying, I was down on my luck at school. I didn't really have a lot going for me. My parents didn't support me. And then I found out about drop shipping. And then they'll just show how they made like $50,000 in an hour or something. Now, the biggest concern around pink sauce is that it contained milk. And milk, if not packaged or preserved properly, could easily lead to botulism. I don't need to go into detail that that's very, very bad. And there were also some discrepancies, like there were ingredients in the product that actually weren't on the back of the label. Like, for example, mayonnaise, which is pretty important to include because some people are allergic to that. And then surprisingly, this is really going to surprise you, some people actually got food poisoning from the pink sauce and had to be hospitalized. I know, after everything I just went over, it's actually, I'm so shocked and surprised. And then others that actually bought it and they didn't get botulism, they basically just said that the product smelled and it appeared like completely rotten. And then, because of course everyone wanted to get views, some people pretended to eat the pink sauce and then die, later saying it was a social experiment to see how people would react. Oh boy, I really do love spreading misinformation on the internet. It even went so viral, right? You had like MatPat. MatPat did a game theory on this, or like a food theory, or whatever like sub channel he has. But the worst thing is MatPat's writers actually did their research, because they managed to like actually point out how it was poorly packaged and mislabeled with various ingredients that weren't even in the actual pink sauce. Now, obviously, I really don't have to go into detail how bad it is that MatPat actually made a video debasing absolutely everything about pink sauce. That truly is a dark day when MatPat is the one spitting facts. Now, originally, Chef P did actually respond to all of this in the worst way possible. This is like the second video in a row where I'm talking about terrible responses. I just talked about the tall night one, and now we're talking about pink sauce. So she claimed, very honestly, probably a bit too honestly, that she never actually weighed any of the pink sauce before packaging it and shipping it out. So any kind of discrepancies between each bottle, each color, each of the ingredients was apparently guesswork. I like to imagine she just grabs like anything from her cupboard. It's like, oh, that one's a bit too sweet. Needs some vinegar. That one's a bit too sour. Let's add some cherries in there. And then as well, when the FDA approved the pink sauce, she came out and said that it wasn't a medical product.
Approved? What do you mean FDA approved? I don't sell medical products. The pink sauce is not a medical product. The pink sauce don't contribute to your health. I never said that. Did I?
And that's a big problem because the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, is there to, well, you know, take care of food in America. I know I do a little snide, a little British jab with the butter knife every time the FDA is brought up, but obviously like lying in your application to actually get the food approved, that's pretty bad. So what did Chef P do then? How could she redeem the pink sauce that everyone thought was just actual uranium? Of course she did what every 20-something does when they've got one of these microphones, the Shure SM7B. She went on a public talk show. And that talk show she appeared on was Karamo Brown. Now, what they actually did beforehand is they brought a critic of the pink sauce onto the show to basically debate her because, you know, that's funny, more content. And at one point, they actually even sent the pink sauce off to a lab to be tested. Now, the big fumble that Chef P did here is in the interview on the talk show, she didn't address the fact that there were like many perishable ingredients inside the pink sauce. She kind of just acted like you could buy it and then you could put it in your fallout bunker and it'd last 1,000 years.
I see what you're doing. It's amazing and all. I'm a supporter, but I think you should look into this. Take this step. Did you research this? Did you check out your packaging there? Versus trying to tear down my business and my livelihood.
And that's pretty much the story so far. But now Chef P has returned. Is it a new flavor of sauce? Maybe it's a brown sauce. Maybe it's a purple sauce. Nope. She's came out publicly saying that she's lost everything and she's absolutely broke. Claiming herself that she was sabotaged. She's now actually started a GoFundMe to raise $100,000. There are actually so many GoFundMe scams out there. It's insane. I have no idea why you would need $100,000. An actual good example of a GoFundMe was actually recently when a YouTuber, Crip Daddy, passed away. People did a fundraiser and that was for funeral costs. And the goal for that was $8,000, not $100,000. And on top of that as well, Crip's family said that if they go over the goal, which they've done by, you know, a country mile, like over triple their goal now, they said that they're going to give any excess money that they earn from the GoFundMe to charity, which is great. That's really noble. That's exactly how a GoFundMe should work. So if you look at the GoFundMe, you can see that she's raised $25,000. Like she's already a quarter of the way there. But if you look at top donations, basically everyone's giving like 5s, 10s, 25s. But then you've got Kyrie Irving giving $24,000. $24,000 out of $25,000. Now, I'm not sure if that's the same Kyrie that's like the basketball player, but it would make sense because that is an insane amount of money to fork over just for a GoFundMe for pink sauce. Now, before we get into the GoFundMe, I want to talk a little bit more about the FDA approval bit because that's very important. She said in one interview that the effing DEA Federal came to my business yesterday. I am 100% compliant. I'm abiding with the FDA. I'm not in trouble. I'm not going to jail. Nobody can accuse the pink sauce of anything going forward. But then after approving the actual product, the FDA this year, they launched an investigation into pink sauce, which is again, like you guys approved that. Why are you then launching an investigation? You might as well do it on yourselves at that point. Apparently, Chef P collaborated with Dave's Gourmet to address concerns surrounding the recipe and packaging. But then after another investigation, it was found that the pink sauce was apparently okay for the FDA and they put it back in Walmart in 2023. Now, the entire reason she's made this GoFundMe, apart from money, obviously, she's saying that Dave's Gourmet did not pay her royalties for the pink sauce and that she's financially struggling, living off $20 a day. If you don't know Chef's Gourmet, they're basically the people that kind of like actually put this into production because there was no way from her house she'd be able to get this into 4,000 Walmarts. You need the connections. Another good example is the Prime Hydration that Logan Paul and KSI just constantly shill everywhere and you see every 10-year-old sipping on. They act like it's their company, it's their drink, but it isn't. They own a 20% stake in the company each, 40%. 60% of that company is owned by Congo Brands because they do the actual packaging, shipping, because Logan and KSI, they're both very well networked, incredibly high net worth, but they still couldn't do that fulfillment themselves to put it on store shelves. Now, Chef P basically goes on to say that this company, Dave's Gourmet, that are doing all the fulfillment, like Congo Brands is doing fulfillment for Prime, have only paid what's in the contract, being so far $120,000. Which is a lot of money, but she's probably missing out on a lot more. Now, the problem is with this situation is Dave's Gourmet have paid her what's on the contract, and she now seems to think that she deserves more money because it's doing better. Unfortunately, that's not how contracts work. They're usually pretty slimy, and you need to know what you're getting into. You can't just then demand more money afterwards. She also goes on to say that because she's making such little money, that she's actually facing eviction from her apartment. And the problem is as well, the GoFundMe does not mention at any point that she's actually been paid $120,000 that was actually said in the contract. fact, that's what Dave's Gourmet have actually came out and said, and I wouldn't really think they'd lie about that because they'd be eligible for a lawsuit. So obviously the GoFundMe got loads of backlash because she's saying that she's on the breadline, she's struggling, but then also the fact that she got paid 120k, where's that money gone? Has she been really irresponsible with it? Has she blown through it? Because 120k, that is life-changing money, but easily I can imagine degenerates getting hold of that money and just blowing it in seconds. So yeah, I think it's pretty hilarious how like you had a TikTok trend, someone that blew up from it, and now they are basically just struggling. I mean, obviously, I hope she gets the help she needs. I mean, seeing her homeless with her kids, that's not funny. That's sad. But at the same time, like, I don't understand why you would lie about not being paid. And then also, where did that 120k go? Did you put it all in Dogecoin and it just like flopped overnight or something? Did you put it in Ethereum? It really does amaze me that you get people that get rich so quickly and they just blow it on like really stupid things like sports cars, stuff like that. I mean, look at me. Like, I'm 26. I still don't even have a car on my own, even though I passed my driving test like 7 years ago. But yeah, long story short, she fell off. She fell off.